Hey everyone, welcome to Stuff I Never Learned from a Schoolbook. If you're looking at the bearded one, it must mean it's Monday night, 7 Central, 8 Eastern, 6 Mountain, 5 Pacific, 2 out in Hawaii, 6 a.m. tomorrow morning out in Indonesia, and about 9 a.m. tomorrow out in Australia. Welcome everybody. If this is your first time here, my name's Tom Springer, and I am the host of Stuff I Never Learned from a Schoolbook. If you're a repeat offender, like a lot of you are, welcome back. You know how the show runs. And I don't waste any time, so I do have 2 guests on tonight, and I'm just going to throw them into the wolves. Bring them on now. So we're going to go ahead and bring on Luna and Nolan. So hello. How are you two doing?
Hi. Thanks for having us.
Oh, absolutely. So I'll let people know, first off, how I found you. I always like to let my audience know how I found you guys. And as normal, I am pretty good about Facebook stalking. And a lot of my, this is actually my wife popping in to say hi to you right here. She's upstairs and she kind of makes sure the internet works and everything else, and then lets me know if shit goes sideways. But a lot of times I get like friend suggestions, and Luna, you actually popped up as one, as a friend suggestion. And I went out there and I looked, and hi Kathy. And I went out there and I noticed that you and I had a lot of similar friends as it was. But that's not really what draws me to people. I actually get like an instant connection or disconnection from the person right away. And I was very much drawn to you right away. And I was like, oh, I really like her energy. I really like this person. I need to find out more about her. So that's when I go into Facebook stalking mode. So I go out and I start checking your sites out and I start doing everything else. And if I give it a couple of minutes and I still feel we have a good vibe, well, then I go ahead and jump in both feet and send you a message saying, hey, this is who I am. I'm not some psycho guy. Well, I am some psycho guy, but not for this reason. And I want to invite you to come onto my show. What do you think? And you were nice enough to say yes. And then you were nice enough to say, hey, not only are we a one-fer, but as a person Primal Jai here says, we're a two-fer. So we got Luna and Nolan today. So welcome to you both. Thank you for being here. The audience knows what's about to come because they know it every week. I want you all to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you get started? What brought you into this field? And kind of where you're at right now. Hi, Rosie.
I'm Nolan, and just a disclaimer for people that are watching, like flexing right now, trying to show you my 20-year-old tattoos. I broke my collarbone and my scapula last month. So this is kind of what I got to do right now. I work at a psych facility here in Salem, Oregon. They wrote a book about it and made a movie called One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
I love that movie.
Yeah, that's my normal job. And usually she goes first, and then I just say, a year ago I met her, so now I do this. But I've grown up in some pretty interesting houses and always had like a fascination with paranormal stuff and all that. Usually disappointed with TV shows and stuff like that. Growing up, I always thought, like, if I live in a house and stuff moves right in front of you, how come everything seems so fake? So a little over a year ago, I met her, and she said that she did paranormal investigation and tarot and all that stuff. And I was just like, oh crap, here we go. Turns out she's legit. And I started by just helping her. I like to film and all that stuff. And so for a little while, I was just kind of behind the camera. I never really intended to be on any of the YouTube stuff.
Me neither.
Yeah. It was mainly because it was her thing. And then, like, if she wanted to break up with me, I didn't want her to have, like, trying to edit me out of the videos and stuff. And I just got more interested in it. And I don't know, it's like in the last year, we've done 20-something investigations, it seems like.
Insane.
We traveled through Nebraska.
He's
last
being
month, 2 months ago.
Yeah. He's being super modest, though. He literally has helped me build this TV show into what it is. So
very cool.
Yeah.
It's like being in a band, except only one other person.
Yeah. Yeah. I can understand that. I did not have any intention at all. I mean, like I told you why I built this beforehand, but for the people who really know me, I am very much an introvert. So it's a big thing for me to actually go out and actually do stuff like this every week. At the end of the night, when I'll be done talking with you, I will actually need time to basically down process, because I get amped when I do this because I'm not comfortable with it. Even though I've been doing it now for about a year and a half, I'm not comfortable with it. So I have to take time to kind of step back. But yeah. So I totally understand not wanting to be in front of the camera like you are, Nolan, but here we are. So, and we just get to learn how to deal with it. So,
Yep.
All right, Luna, looks like it's your turn.
I'm Luna. I am a professional psychic medium and tarot reader by day, and by night, I'm a paranormal investigator. Those are my 2 full-time jobs because we own a production company. We tape everything, we film everything out of pocket. All of it is ours. So during the day, I am working on our TV show and editing stuff, and by night, I do tarot reading. This is not something I sought out to do. This was, when I was a little girl, I didn't realize I had abilities. My father passed away of cancer when I was around 10 years old. And I got obsessed with wanting to know, where did my dad go? And that's
Right.
where the obsession came from. And it just kind of all spiraled out of control in my mid-20s. And I had a spiritual awakening and found out I had these abilities. And I just loved it from there. And to be honest, as much as mediumship is cool, I like the paranormal investigations a lot better.
Really?
Yeah, I really do. I mean, as much as and this is going to sound wrong because it never comes out right, I don't really find fulfillment out of talking to other people's loved ones. I find fulfillment going into buildings and learning about the spirits and their histories and where things came from, because it's not that their family members aren't important, but for me, it's just like that history, walking into that building, seeing it, breathing it, feeling it, understanding it, was massive for me. And it's something I fell in love with. Yeah, and I was invited to do some different TV shows and in that field and all that stuff, and things didn't work out, and just not really good people with good intentions. And I just said, screw it, I'm going to do it myself, and watch me. And here we are almost a year later with the show, and we're going to start season 3 this next month. So we're just rocking and rolling.
Very cool. So tell everyone the title of what you're doing.
Finding Unknown is our YouTube.
So Finding Unknown is out on YouTube.
And Atlas Paranormal TV.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I unfortunately did not get that put up on here enough, so I want to make sure that you go ahead and advertise that out on here. Through voice, I didn't get a chance to type it all in and everything else, but yes, I went out there and I found you. So first off, you can find everything, folks, if you go out to this right here, www.lunaparanormal.com. If you go out there, you can find all the links that we're talking about and everything else through the site. And you can also go out there and you can get background information on you, what you do. As you talked about, you do daytime and nighttime stuff. It's all out there. So your site is all encompassing. It's a fantastic site. I've been out there a couple of times just to research you beforehand, because everybody knows this is what I do. I am a nerd by trade, so this is what I do for folks. But yeah, so go out to this site right here. I would tell everyone go out here. And then once you go out to here, start clicking on all your other links and like, follow, share all your other links, because they're really cool. Yep. So I would tell people to do that in a heartbeat, because I
have TikToks. We both have Instagrams. We have our YouTube. We have everything. You guys can follow us on.
Yeah, you can follow it all. It's great. Like I said, I've already been out there and I'm already a huge fan. So thank you for doing that. So you, thank you. I'm being told I'm a nerd, but I'm a lovable nerd. Thank you. But when I was researching you have a very extensive background. You're right now, you're telling us what you're doing, but I got to tell you, you're being very modest, and you're being very humble. Your stuff is in depth. as far as what you do, and it's pretty incredible.
Thank you.
So, and for those who don't know what I'm talking about, guess what? Go out to the site I just posted and go find out. As a matter of fact, I want to grab this information right here. Sorry, I do everything on this site by myself. So
you're good. No, please take your time.
All I'm doing is I'm posting your lunarparanormal.com out onto the comments. So that way, when people come in and they watch the recording, they also know where to go, because they can just go out to the comments and grab you and actually, so to speak, and go to your site and be able to follow you and everything else and look and see what we're talking about. Because I only happen to throw your site up about 4 or 5 times during the show, so I don't think I show it enough. But so I'm going to go back to when you're talking about you lost your father. So I lost my father at an early age. We talked earlier about having a lot of similarities.
Yeah,
I lost my father when I was 3 to a very, very, very unknown rare disease. My dad was a monster. I mean, not in an evil way, but I mean, he was huge. He was 6'9", Native American, 300 and some odd pounds, and he had like a 10% body fat. He was huge. And then one day my mom found him on the bed, and 3 days later he was dead. So it was very quick. It was very rapid. It's very unknown. So it's kind of weird that we have that same similarity, because I've always wondered about my dad as well. And then I learned that my dad is actually one of my protectors on the other side that looks out for me very, very, very closely. So I'm wondering how, in your journey, did you find answers about your father? Is he with you? Does he speak to you still? Is he around?
He's around, and I'm going to say this is the curse of a medium, and most mediums I've come across that are true mediums will say it's very hard for us to actually contact our own family. It's really
very
hard.
True. Yes.
And I have contacted him through Spirit Box and stuff by kind of accident. I don't typically try to put my family under that kind of stress, but
right.
He is around. I do feel him. And, there's times where I'll just sit here and just think about him, and I know that he's with me. So I do know, I still ask every spirit, and I think Nolan would agree with this, but I always ask in any investigation, what is on the other side? And no spirit has ever been able to just directly say it. Most say, we're not allowed to tell you, or
right.
can't say anything, or it's a secret. So no, I just don't think we're supposed to know. I think
I had to have someone else tell me that my dad was my protector. I did not have that knowledge. So yeah, that was something else. I was like, really? That's who's back there? That's who's looking out for me? So,
you actually have 2, just so you know.
Yeah, well, I know of one pretty strong, and that's my dad. The other one I'm not quite sure about, but I'm sure I have more that just kind of hang out in the background. And I don't think they're really protectors. I think they're more along the lines of stop doing stupid shit.
Mm-hmm.
But we know you're going to, so we're just going to sit back here and laugh when you do, type of thing. So, you know what? I'm doing it for my own show. Sorry about that. So I got to throw this up for myself, because I got to throw up the parental advisory up above us.
Shit.
No.
So I'll leave that there. And yeah, and Melody says her family's like, I'll call you. So that's kind of how it is. So when you investigate, as you guys travel around, do either of you, we're going to go to the very common questions, and we're going to build off of those. Do either one of you have favorite pieces of equipment you like to use?
I think ours is the same.
Flashlight.
Yeah, it's the flashlight for both of us, for
Oh,
sure.
is it? Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Is it just turn this on, turn this off type thing, or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're so good at it too. But I feel like most spirits are like, I'm just going to leave it on, walk away, and I'll be back. But make sure it's like right in your eyes.
Yeah. Yeah. Mine happens to be the SB7 when it works. That seems to be the downfall, when it works.
We have a new radio coming in, like a vintage radio that you can like hack. So I'm hoping this is SB7. So fingers crossed that I don't mess that one up, but I'm pretty excited for it, because I honestly can't stand the SB7. It is so quiet. And even when you got a speaker plugged into it, it's so loud that it's like you can't hear anything. It's really only good for the Estes method in my mind. So
yeah. Yeah, I just use it. Like ours is very quiet until I plug it in, and it's still quiet. So I really kind of have to strain. But I think I like it because of the fact it has to, because of the technology behind it. It's sweeping through all those different channels, and if you're hearing steady voices or steady comments, then it's kind of hard to debunk under that guise. While other things you can. Like your REM pods and stuff like that, or your Mel meters. If you have a phone on you, those can be set off. So there's certain other things that I just don't. I like to have around, but I don't trust them as much as I do. Well, I don't trust them as much as I do myself. Obviously, probably the same thing with you guys. So speaking of that, for the both of you, which one of you two pick up on an entity or a spirit first?
I think it's you, because the thing, like, you mean like when we walk into a building and I pick up on them? Oh,
yes.
that's definitely because they love him though. They go straight for him. Yeah, they pick up on him.
And what are your triggers? Like when you walk in, do you hear them first, or do you feel them first, or is it just like a sixth sense? Like, man, I know they're here.
Yeah, I'm pretty, I guess, lucky or unlucky at the same time, where I can see them, feel them, hear them, and all the above. And I just know where they're standing. I just get this overwhelming sense. Now, when one's really close to me, my arm tends to tingle and feel like, like when you sleep on your arm and then it's got that tingling sensation that happens in my legs and my arms. And that's usually the trigger for me. That one is standing very close.
Yeah, that's, so I have the same thing. I see here, listen to, they talk to me, I talk to them just like we're talking right now, which kind of drives me nuts sometimes. But you also have the same thing that Nikki has, and she said it feels like someone is like, it's almost like spider webs on her arms. So she had to start paying attention to it because it's such a light touch. And she was like, what is touching me? Is that a spider web? What did I walk through? And then realizing that that's how she's sensing them is by that touch. And it's not them touching her. That's just her feelings she gets. It's almost like her spidey sense is kicking off. So
true. It is like a spidey sense. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. What about you, Nolan? What triggers you off? How do you sense that they're there?
I usually assume it. Like I'm sure you've heard, especially just learning that you're native. You always hear people talk about places being built on a burial ground. And it's like, have you thought about how many billions of people have died?
Right.
On this earth, like everywhere.
Yeah.
In 10 feet of you, somebody's died no matter where you're at. So
yeah,
it's kind of,
Then,
I don't know if it's like without getting down like a religious path, it's pretty, I don't know how to say it. It's pretty wild for me to think that like we're the only thing, like we're the only thing here, and that we're supreme. Like if this is, then wow,
Yeah, it's interesting you say that because I am a very so Luna, I'm a very interesting combination. Not only am I Native American, but I'm also Norse. So if you can have two different entities from two opposite sides, but basically have the same belief system, if you look at them, it's a little bit of a twist. And I did notice that you're sitting in front of your tree, and our background behind us right now is our tree. Did you notice that our background behind us on the show?
That's so cool. I just now saw that.
Actually, our tree that we have back there. So must have been known. Rosie's saying, yeah, it's interesting too because she thought that her hair also stands up on her arms. I think that's a trigger for a lot of people. They kind of get that goosebumpy feeling or whatever else. We had a guy that we used to investigate with, and he was our trigger. He would know instantly when he walked in. As soon as he walked in, because his hair would either stand up or it wouldn't, or he'd get like goosebumps. He called it chicken skin. If he walked in and he got chicken skin, there was something there. And it was even before, like, if I walked into a room, before I can sense it, he was always like, there's something here. It was like instantaneous. He couldn't recognize what it was or anything else. So that kind of drove him nuts because he could tell there's something, but he couldn't pick up on it. But he was always our first. I mean, he was our, you're walking into something kind of trigger.
He's your human life REM pod.
He is. Yeah. Primal calls it truth bumps. Truth bumps.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So Nikki's asking you a question. She says, when you investigate, do you like to do your research on the location beforehand, or do you like to go in without knowing much about the location?
You want to answer?
I do research. She needs to know where it's at, or she'll tell me about a place. But for the most part, like I usually end up finding places unless we get invited, you know.
Yeah.
And we've done some. If you go to our channel, that we did, it was basically like a murder mystery where I got way deep into the history, researched it, talked to the homeowner that knows everything about it, very legit. And then over the course, it ended up being 2 episodes. This place is called the Delaney House. And
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and she, I knew everything that the homeowner knew, and she put it together over the course. We stayed there 2 nights, so we were there like 3 days and 2 nights. And she would be like, you know, say like, just for an example, she'd be like, I'm getting pencil, but like the answer is pen.
Yeah.
And I just give her a look, and she's like, what's that? You can tell me now. And I'm like, how about this? And she's like, holy crap, you know, so.
So you're basically her confirmation.
Yeah. And then on top of that, like, and we talked about, you know, people faking stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it'd be super cool to get $1 from YouTube, I'm sure. We won't know because we don't. But but I wouldn't spend that much time. Like, we spend a lot of money and a lot of weekends doing this. Like, we could so easily just be at the beach. So for me, it's like very, very validating. And then, you know, with their equipment, like, we do love the REM pods and all the meters and everything. But there's sometimes when it's like at that house where like the orb is coming around the couch, she looks over her shoulder, it comes around the front of the couch, makes a noise, and then sets a REM pod off. And it's like,
you can't make that.
Yeah. Like that for us. We talked about it. We just took a 15-state road trip, which is why we drove across Nebraska, the whole thing. Nice. And
no, it's not. You can see the curvature. If you stand on the railroad tracks, you can see the curvature of the earth.
Yeah.
We did an investigation in Nebraska.
Where at?
Seven Sisters.
That's right by us. I'm literally about a half an hour north of Seven Sisters.
Yeah,
that's one of the places we're gonna go to.
We stayed at that's rad too, because I noticed like nobody goes there. Like you start looking up videos and people just read a script and have pictures from a newscast or whatever.
Yep.
But can't remember what I was talking about.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Can't help it.
I told you squirrel moments those happen. Welcome to the show.
Oh, yeah. So I like to do some history, and also like to try to find places that aren't super popular. Like, it's one of my favorite things is like when you look on YouTube and like don't see anything.
Yeah.
Because as cool as it is to go to like the Devil's Mountain and then the Clown Motel. We went to the Clown Motel.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we should have just slept in our van and then kept going, you know. But you know, it's like all those landmark places we talk about it. It kind of feels like a zoo, and you go there expecting like the lions are going to be eating and all this stuff, and you show up and it's super quiet, and you know, it's not about wins and losses, but you know, you go there kind of with like a little hope of like getting something activity, and there's not much or anything.
Yeah, so, I had to explain that to a lot of people who want to know what we do. And I'm like, look, it is not nonstop action like you see on TV. Those are edited for TV. Ours is 95% sitting around waiting for 5% of something to happen. And sometimes you don't get 1% of something to happen. So you move on to the next one.
It makes YouTube editing so hard.
Right? Exactly.
And that's the thing about our episodes too, is like, because we watch a lot of people, like we have like, oh, it's so-and-so's on tonight, or like yesterday, Sunday's pretty popular. And we have our favorites. And yeah, I'm not knocking anybody. And of course they're super successful at what they're doing, but it's like some of our stuff is kind of long-winded, but we do it in a way to where unless you just don't have any idea what's going on, you can't really say that anything's ever faked,
right?
Or even twisted, you know. Yeah. And you know, it's really disappointing sometimes. It's one thing when it's like, okay, sure, somebody got thrown down the stairs, but they're on the Discovery Channel, and they have a camera in the toilet of the bathroom, but they didn't catch the guy getting thrown down the stairs on camera. Whatever. Even then, you can. I mean, I would jump down the stairs on TV, on a different channel.
Yeah.
And also, you see people like kind of manipulating equipment, like. I'm just turning on the Ovilus for the first time. It's supposed to say words, and then it says something, and then they show it, and you can tell it's like the third or fifth word that came out probably an hour ago.
Yeah.
It's like,
right. Yeah. Yeah. And that's what Nikki's saying here. She's saying, but they have people that can go over their evidence and put it together for videos while we all do it ourselves. So
our videos would be 9 minutes long if we did a little meat in the beginning and the end. But
Yep. I totally agree with that. Did you guys go through Iowa? Did you stop at like the Malvern Manor and all those different places going through Iowa at all, or
we like
just the tip?
We stayed in Percival.
Yeah. So you came basically to where I am. Like I said, I'm 30 minutes north of where you were on Seven Sisters. I'm up in Omaha, basically, just east and south of Omaha. Little town called Plattsmouth out here.
Okay.
Right across the border, about half an hour, is a town called Malvern, and they have a place out there called the Malvern Manor. If you come back out this way, go check that place out. That place is kind of cool.
We stayed at this really cool. I found a place just Googling because we were traveling in our van. Yeah. We'd sleep in the van, and then after investigating, it's like, it was great, but every 3 or 4 days, it'd be like, how about a hotel?
Yeah.
How about let's stand up?
Yeah.
Right.
And I found this place. I can't remember the name of it, but this gal has a bunch of property in Percival and horses and huge Airbnb on her property with like 7 cabins and all this.
Yeah.
And so we wanted to do Seven Sisters after we came through from Kansas.
Oh, yep.
And I was looking for hotels because I thought, hey, wouldn't it be nice if we just brought the gear boxes and didn't have to set up camp, break down camp, drive half hour to the place. And I found this place and I thought it was a hotel, but it was an Airbnb, and we ended up staying there. And that gal was saying we needed to check out the manor that you were just talking about.
Malvern Manor, yeah. We're actually pretty good friends with the guy who owns it. And he would let you guys come in and stay the night there if you wanted to.
We'll be back.
Well, yes.
Yeah. So his name is Josh Hurd. He's part of the G crew, so he's part of Nick Groff's crew. But he owns the Malvern Manor over there, and that's probably our closest place where we do our investigations at. But he lets you guys he let us do overnights all the time. He'll let you guys do overnights and stuff like that. And it is a much different vibe from daytime to nighttime.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
so it's one of those places.
Love it.
Yeah. And we actually have a lot of friends that live out here in the Iowa area, especially by the Cedar Rapids area, and they can take you to like Edinburgh Manor, and a couple of other different places out there. So if you guys are back out this way, let me know.
Yeah, we'd love for you and wifey to go on an investigation with us.
I'll set you up with all those places out there too, and we'll come along. So it would be a lot of fun to do that. So when you guys, what made you? I guess what made you decide to turn this into a TV program? What made you go, you know what? I need to share this with everybody else out there. So we're going to start recording this and putting it on YouTube. Or on anything.
So there's no answers to this. Okay. So I've been through quote unquote hell and back when it comes to people promising things that they couldn't uphold. And I've had quite a few people say, oh, you want to be on my TV show. And I've been to production meetings. I've done all that stuff. And this person turns out to be who they say they are not. And then sometimes things don't follow through. And, I have a few people wanting to see me fail. So this is more like, watch me do this. And I'm going to show you how it's done. And then the other one too is I absolutely love telling the story of the paranormal, and I want to be able to be one of those people that is not like TV shows. And I'm not saying every TV show is like that, but about 98% of them are, and there's very few that aren't, to show people, you know, different places. And for me, what he was saying, you know, it's the same over and over and over again from a million different investigations, which is fine. But it's like, don't you guys want to see something different? Don't you want to see something? And so for me, it's like, I want to go to places that nobody's really heard of and share the story, share the history, do that. And so for me, that's important. But also the money aspect too. You know, I want to be able to get paid to do what it is I love to do. And I know a lot of people are going to be like, oh, just doing it for money. Well, yeah, I mean, I got to eat my bagels somehow. I do for a living. So to grow this YouTube and be able to, we have to get 4,000 watch hours. We're not quite there yet. We're at about 1,100. So it takes a while. We're almost like a year in. It's really stressful because then the clock starts over at a year. So we're trying to get to that point. But what would be nice is if this channel paid for itself so that we could actually travel and go see more places, because him and I, we do this out of our own pocket. Every single bit of equipment we've spent, you know, from MacBooks to hard drives to everything to do this is out of our own pocket. So it would, once this YouTube goes forward, it's like, this is a nice way to be able to be like, look, we get to share with people, but in return, we get to be able to now travel to more places because the YouTube is paying for it. And then in return,
we can now share with more people. So
and it's tough. It's, I'm going to tell, it's a cutthroat industry. And everybody has a paranormal TV show. And it's like, don't give up, but a lot of people do, and I understand why, because you put in 9 to 10 hours of work to get 200 views. I get it. And it's just, you know, eventually we'll get there. It's going to happen, but that's why. That's kind of like a long-winded answer for, you know,
what I was looking for. So
honesty. You're always going to get honesty. Yeah, that's true. A scrapbook, a digital scrapbook.
That's what I use Instagram for. Well, I used to. I have a screen printing shop as well. And people like, hey, do you have a business card or a portfolio? And it's like, yeah, look at my Instagram. The only thing it is me printing. Pictures of, you know, the neighbor's cat. You're not going to get a picture of a burger on there. It's just that. So like for us, it's like, we've only been doing this together for a year. When we sit there and count, like, wait, how long ago was it that we went to the one place? You know, we're trying to remember we remember an event, and then where did that happen at? And it's like, holy crap, that was
9 months ago.
Yeah, like, So it's cool for us. Someday, we do premieres now. We'll watch our episode with 25 people that coming back.
We love you guys so much.
And there's a chat in there too, so people can talk smack or ask questions or whatever. And it's fun, but after that, we don't really watch them again. And so it'd be cool, and without having to get out the computer, like when you find an MP3 player that you had 15 years ago and you don't even have a charger for it,
no clue.
It's like, at least, a couple years from now, we can go back and look at, like, we cringe at stuff like when we were using phones instead of a nice camera. And before, she started it with a phone and a free software app to edit on a tablet. So to go from that to this, it's like, okay, so the quality's gotten 1,000 times better. We're getting good with timing and all that stuff. And then it's just, now we just need more crazy stuff to happen.
No, I do understand that, because Nikki and I haven't gone out to investigate for quite some time since we were part of another team, but we have created our own team again, and we're going to start going out. One of the places I want to go to beyond Seven Sisters, there's also another place that one of the guys I know lives right across the border in Iowa, and he said there's a location there where they have this big marker for where one of the major well-known Indian chiefs passed away. And it's tribal land and everything else. Well, then right at the end of the 1800s, early 1900s, they went ahead and built a Christian church right on it. And so that's when I want to go investigate to see how that energy resides right there in that same, because the church is still standing and the marker is still there. So I want to go check that out and see what kind of energy that produces for there. Then we also do have a lot of good. I know we have one very good. It's actually listed as one of the most haunted places in the area, like in the Midwest, and it's one of the cemeteries out here. People said they see bodies walking through there all the time, and they'll go to find out. They'll try to follow them, and all of a sudden they're just gone, and stuff like that. So there's a couple places that's nice out here that it would be cool to go investigate, just kind of get our feet wet again and kind of get back into it.
Yeah.
So Nikki is asking you a question, Luna. So she states, you do something I haven't really heard of. Can you explain to us what bone readings are?
Yeah, it's called osteomancy. It's an old form of divination, kind of like tarot. It goes way back. Actually, history doesn't know when it started and how old it actually is, but I believe it's older than tarot. It's a bunch of bones, jewels, and trinkets in a bowl, and you shake them up and you throw them, and the way that those are land next to each other tells the story of what needs to be. Now, the bones and jewels and trinkets mean something to the medium or the psychic doing it. So it's each person who does bone throwing or osteomancy is a little different. Like, this bone means this to me, this trinket means this. So it's just an old form of reading, divination, but out of bones and stuff. It's really cool. So if you guys follow me on TikTok, you guys can definitely get one from me, or I'm actually changing over my podcast now to do readings on my podcast. So if anybody's interested in that, you can do that as well. Right into me.
So now she wants to know how you learned how to do this.
You just practice. That's all it is. I mean, there really is no how to. I just found the bones and the trinkets that really called to me. I had some stuff from friends, and I just looked at them and I kind of felt and said, okay, this is what this means to me. This is what this means. And I practiced just throwing, and I kept throwing, and I just kept saying, okay, this scenario would be this and this. Because I do tarot readings, I kind of know what people are interested in knowing and what they look for. So that was kind of easy to then look at each little piece and decide what that means for me in spirit. And then I just started practicing on TikTok lives, and then it just went from there. But yeah, you definitely have to build a connection to them, or else the readings are not going to come out correctly.
Yeah. Well, Melody's saying she's going to go follow you out there on TikTok now. So
awesome. Luna Mystic Tarot on TikTok.
What was it?
Luna Mystic Tarot.
Luna Mystic Tarot. Okay. I'm curious because I'm kind of getting this in my head. When you throw, do any of them have to do with like directions, north, south, east, west, cardinal directions type thing or anything?
No, but the way that they're thrown is sometimes some trinkets will end up over here, bones will end up in here. So that lets me know that there are different time frames and when things are going to happen based on the way that stuff's thrown. So no, I don't have any direction, but I do have one that does say what somebody's specifically focused on right now. So
okay. Yeah, I was just curious about that because we have a guy up here. His name is Wayne Brecky, and he works out of a location here, and he actually does rune readings. So I know there's all different types of readings that people do, and it just always fascinates me how people can look at even tarot cards. How you all can look at them and come up with something that helps, some form of direction. Or guidance or something that's supposed to help. And I look at them, I go, oh, cool picture. So that's about as far as I get out of those. I haven't asked this question to anybody else, but for some reason I thought that you two would be a very good couple to ask this question to. And it's individual answers. I don't know. I have no idea why some of the questions I come up with them. But when you pass on and you are spirit, is there any particular place that you want to come back and visit as a spirit?
I have people that I would like to haunt and torture for a little bit. Like, no lie.
Yeah.
For you. You know who you are. They know who they are.
Yeah. I just didn't know. Nolan, what about you?
Amusement parks.
Amusement parks?
That's a good one.
Because there's a wait line. I always wondered, maybe I don't know if you'd lose that gut feeling. Like, you ever wonder, like, if birds or chimps that you see on TV, like when they're swinging around, like you think that they get that feeling in their stomach, like, whoa, dude, you know,
The drop.
yeah. So if I didn't lose that, I don't know, I'd probably just try and live the life I wish I could now.
When you were alive?
Lions. Yeah, I don't like lions. Don't really like kids. But yeah, I'd probably haunt some people. We always have this thing about it's like a match between who's gonna die first between the two of us. But we have like a pact that we're gonna haunt the other person so that we can get views, you know?
So you guys can give information to each other from the other side?
Yeah.
You're going to break that pact when everyone else says, we can't tell you what's going on over here. You guys are going to break that pact for everybody else.
More like, hey, break this candlestick in front of me while I have the camera on or whatever.
Levitate me.
Yeah.
Do something.
Do something cool.
Yeah.
Something that no skeptic can doubt.
Right.
So yes. And I know you guys are the same way too, is I actually had this discussion today with the coworker. He was asking a lot of questions. And one of the things I told him is I always go into every situation, I don't care what it is, as a skeptic. My job is to prove first that it is not paranormal, spiritual, or anything else before I can say, I don't know what it is. I have to do my best to be the skeptic. And he's like, well, how does that work? And I go, well, because if I just accept everything, then I'm just a glutton for punishment. Then I'm just gullible. Yeah. I said, I have to be the skeptic first. I have to be the investigator. I have to be the reporter. I have to do that thorough research to say, I can't tell you what it is because it wasn't a wind. It wasn't this. It wasn't that. It was something I can't explain. So
not a lot of people have that view.
No.
Yeah.
Or if they do, they don't show it. I mean, I'm sure we're talking about shows, but you know, it's kind of wild when you're watching a show, somebody investigating a hotel room that's 4 floors and they're on the 2nd floor and they're like, oh my God, it sounds like somebody's walking upstairs. And it's like, maybe that's exactly what's happening. You know? Maybe it's not a demon.
Right.
Maybe not.
And that was another discussion too that we had to have, is that I told him 1% of 1% of 1% is probably going to be a demon. Not 90% of things are demons. It doesn't happen that way. Scratches are not always from demons. In fact, scratches are not from demons. Blood-curdling rip opens are from demons, but scratches are just from people trying to irritate the piss out of you, trying to scare you.
Titles.
What's that?
100% of YouTube titles are demonic, though.
Yes. So I can say this now. So this is why. Uilani Ku'ule says, yeah, she's got a list of folks too that she wants to come back and haunt. So it seems to be just be a theme that everyone seems to have. If I pass, when I come back, I want to haunt others.
Yep.
So, and I've heard that from a lot of people. Like I said, you're the first couple I've asked it to, but it seems like it just in conversation, not with me, but other people I've heard that have said something like this. Like, when I come back, I'm so haunting your ass. And I'm like, yeah, get in line. So, yeah. And that's one thing, is that I cannot have a lot of people die all at once, because I will never get stopped being visited by people. They'll just,
you never sleep.
They'll be like, I told you I was showing up. And I'm like, oh yeah, you and the other 23 that showed up too. And Nikki says, you know what, the things we can hear can just be asshole spirits.
Yeah.
So very true.
Absolutely.
Very true. Is there any place that you guys have investigated that you were just like, nope, not coming back here again? Too much for me. Nope, can't do it.
The McIntyre Villa was almost too much for me.
Really?
But I guess we're going back.
So you're the second person I've heard say that.
As soon as that video gets to 3 likes, we're going back.
Yeah.
If you guys mentioned the McIntyre,
we have a whole balloon moving by itself up the stairs, all the way down a massive hallway corridor next to a creepy haunted doll. It's not the balloon. Okay, the balloon was freaky, but it's not that was some of the greatest paranormal evidence we ever got, because we also got home camera footage too, so you can't deny it that it's happening. There's no funny stuff, funny business happening, but it was the spirits that were there. The man that screamed, it just didn't sit well with me. You always, like, I couldn't use the bathroom because I knew they were watching you. The spirits just do not have any sense of personal space in there. Not all of them are bad. Just one has a bad feel to him. And the thing is like, Steph, the owner, amazing. She's absolutely amazing. Like, the place is amazing. Go. Everybody should experience it. But for me, one time was enough. For being a medium, that was just too much for me. Because I even say it in the episode too. I said, on a scale between 1 and 10, 10 being the most uncomfortable, and 1, I'm at about a 9 right now. And I might have to go step outside. and I typically don't sit in investigations. So
where was the McIntyre at?
Atchison, Kansas. It's right near the Sally house and the Villisca murder house.
Nikki, is that one we did? I'm asking her. Is that one we do the McIntyre? I think we did that one, I believe. And I think there was something there that I don't know if it made me uncomfortable or someone uncomfortable there or what, but unfortunately the names. She said, yeah, we've been there. But for some reason, I don't remember the names of the places. I just remember the places. And like shit that went sideways there. But so we've been there. But you're like the second group or second people I've heard say, McIntyre there was just something there that just was off.
Yeah.
It just wasn't right.
Yeah.
Rosie's saying, so it's funny Rosie says this because we had the same problem. Rosie says, I had to unplug my Google Nest because in the middle of the night, it would say, I'm sorry, I didn't get that. Or say something else. We get that all the time here.
Here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we get that here.
Weird.
Just randomly, just all of a sudden says, I'm sorry, I don't know that. Or I'm sorry, I didn't get that. Can you say that again? And you're like, I didn't say anything.
Ours will talk about some random ice cream shop down the road or whatever. And I'm like, okay.
Ours will give us directions somewhere. I was like, I didn't know I wanted to go there, but now I really want to go there.
So, here are 4 places that you can get soup.
And I'm like,
yeah. And you're like, oh, looks like we're doing soup tomorrow. So, Rosie asked, have you ever heard children?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We actually have so I'm telling you about the Malvern Manor again. Nikki was actually sitting in rooms, and she has her phone going. That's the only thing she has recording. And the weekend was very busy with a lot of groups coming to investigate. It was like a meet and greet group investigation. So a lot of people came through, and Nikki's sitting there, and she asked, there's a little girl, her name is Inez, and she was in her room, and she asked her, she says, I bet you're really tired from everyone coming through here. And you hear a little girl, you couldn't hear it with your ears, but on the recording, when you played it back, it said, yeah, I'm really tired. And in a little girl's voice, and you're like, oh, that's kind of creepy.
I don't like children's spirits, not because that they aren't children's spirits, but there's a lot of things that mask themselves as children.
Yes, there are.
And as a medium, and you felt it because it's like, you're like, this is a kid, but you're like, that's not a kid. Like that's not a kid.
And I've done that just like you have a couple of times. I've heard a kid and I'm like, but that's not a kid.
That's not a kid.
Even if I see it, it may present itself as a kid, but that is not a kid.
Just kids are just creepier as ghosts. Like, they're not creepy in real life, but as ghosts, they're just creepier.
Yeah. Because you just don't know.
Yeah.
Because you always second guess. That kid may be the sweetest kid in the world, but you're second guessing.
Children make you put your defenses down because naturally we are like, are you okay? Like, can I help you? And that's what these quote unquote evil lower level entities, maybe demonic, whatever it may be, mask as, so that you will lower your defenses with them, get close, and then they can do whatever it is that they want at that point.
Yeah. And I think there's apparently there's a few of us that we actually raise our defenses when we sense children. There's
some creepy kids in real life. Well, I'm with you on that.
Right, Rosie? Exactly. I know. And that's what Nikki said. She says people are wondering if Inez is a little girl or something else. That's actually a conversation that's happened in that Malvern Manor. Is she a little girl, or is she just someone portraying? But every time we come across Inez, she's always been a little girl, and she's never done anything to make us think different.
Right.
Like it's never been to a point where she
asking that question though. And I always tell people, go with your gut instinct. You know, you ask the question, there's a reason why you're asking it, you know?
Yeah. Yep. Is there one, when you do investigations, one, I don't want it to be like you said, the flashlights and everything else. I don't want it to be that. But is there one thing that you always do on an investigation, regardless if it's a home, if it's a business, is there something that you just always do? Do you always ask like a certain question, or you know, I mean, is it, you know, or when you go in or when you leave, do you always, regardless of what it is, do you always make sure that you shut yourself down and block everything out and do, you know, because there's some people that just like, okay, good night, see you later, and they walk out and they don't shut themselves out. And I'm like, all right, people, look.
Yeah, don't do that. Yeah, we close out. We thank them.
Yeah.
We have a little conversation with them, a little one-on-one conversation, a heart-to-heart. I would say the Estes method is something we do almost in every investigation. Okay. And we always try to ask them what is on the other side. Is there anything else you think?
We ask them if they want us to do stuff.
Oh, that's true.
Oh.
You know, like, because we'll have, you know, hey, thanks for the flashlight. Thanks for the REM pod. Thanks for moving that thing. Can you move it in front of the camera? Didn't think so. Like, do you want us to do tricks? Do you want us? Is there anything we can help you with? And
our approach with spirits are very different than any TV. I don't think we've ever seen anybody on TV shows or anything do what we do, because we go in and we do the opposite, because it's like we have to understand that these spirits are maybe stuck there, or this is their home, and they go in and people say, do tricks all the time. And their souls. And, you know, so we go in and say, you know, you get asked to do stuff all the time. Is there something that we could do? Is there something you want us to do for you? So we try to like treat them like human. Not that I'm saying other paranormal investigators do, but we try to do that.
But you're like, look, I know that you really want this peanut butter, but you haven't been able to get the lid off. You want me to take the lid off the peanut butter for you?
Do you want me to play ball with you? Do you want me to go downstairs? Is there something that you need or want us to do for you? Because I just feel like sometimes people forget that like they might need something, or that they might want us to do something funny for them. And I think we've gotten a few responses before, but nothing super hilarious. But it's just nice. For me, it's all about making sure they feel respected, even if they are not a very nice spirit.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, even with the guy that screamed at McIntyreville, I said, I don't know what happened to you, and my heart goes out to you, and I don't understand why there's this much anger, but I hope that you find that peace. Where more people would probably scream and run out. And it's like, for me, I just wanted to try to connect with him. And you know, I don't know, that's just our tactic. We like it and it works, you know?
Yeah, that's kind of how I am too. You can yell at me, but I want to know why. Like, what made you were you disrespected this poorly that this is just how your instant reaction is now when people come in?
Right.
Because we've actually followed in, and I don't know if this has happened to you, but we've actually followed in teams that have been. So Nikki wants to know first. Did you hear that guy in the attic at McIntyre?
No, it was in the room that the gentleman shot himself.
Yeah, I'm trying
on the second floor, the library type room.
Yeah, it was the library looking.
And it has its own bathroom.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Steph had put like a recording device in there while she was giving us a tour, and we watched her do it. And then she shows us, and it's like short yell, short yell, short yell. And then when we were in there, she let us use, you know, those Panasonic D40s or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
She let us borrow one because we don't have one. And so we started using that, and like the screams were.
Do you want to hear it?
Sure, if you have it.
It's like 10 breaths.
Okay, guys. Anybody wearing headphones?
Brace yourself.
Get ready.
We're gonna turn this up.
He's just here for you if you want to say anything.
So it's like as if he screamed, stop, And then did it again.
Yeah, and then does it again. Yeah.
Later, we picked up, and it's in the episode, he actually said words. It was just screaming.
Yeah.
And then I think he says, like, what are you recording?
And then he's like,
who's that recording? And like, I think I have the camera. I'm like,
and then
Nolan.
he's like, I'm a demon, which I knew he
Yeah.
wasn't. He was just trying to get a rise out of us, you know, because like, come on, I know when there's something there, because you're gonna know when you're in the presence of a demon. You don't have to be a medium or a psychic. You're gonna know.
Yes. Yeah. It's a bit different.
Yeah. We always also try to be really polite. Pause.
Definition everywhere.
We got baked potatoes of bacon. We try to be really polite. Like I think it's just how I was raised and how she was raised. But you know, like if you're at somebody's house, you go to somebody's house and maybe they're like a little hoarder-ish.
Mm-hmm.
Might say something to your gal when you're leaving under your breath, like, "Whoa, what was that?" You know. But that's like the polite way to converse about things like that.
Right.
When we've seen other shows where people are like, "Oh, this place is effing disgusting and it smells and blah 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 blah," and it's like, we talked about it, and she's actually kind of started to explain a little bit more, like when she's talking about, I'm just trying to find out if you're intelligent. And my first thought was like, what if they don't know what that means? Like, no, that's not what I meant. But it's like, pretend that they're not used to.
Touche.
You know, so it's like, and that's like part of my job, you know, compassion and empathy and all that. And, you know, I mean, like the next episode that we put up is the Broken Bow Asylum. That place is like a squatter's. I mean, there's
feces,
poop, and
it's like a haven there. Yeah. So,
and if a spirit or entity wanted to clean, had enough energy to move something, like even once a day, it would take an eternity to clean that place, you know. Yeah. So why go in there and talk about, well, this place is a shithole, you know what I mean? Instead, hey, I'm really sorry that other people choose to leave their trash here.
Right.
You know, I'm sure that upsets you. It upsets us too, you know. And it's like, hey, what do you know? Little validation, little, you know.
Yeah. Have you gone to locations? We've experienced this with the team. We have followed in a team who was very aggressive, and when we've gone in, the energy is just bad. Mm-hmm. So it turns bad on us because we don't go in that way. We go in with love and light, just trying to have the understanding of what the truth is behind the situation, behind what's going on there. And we have followed people in, and they're like, "You need to show me right now what you're able to," you know, just like get really rude and aggressive. So it changes the energy when you go in after them.
Yeah.
Because there's been times we've gone to a location, and then this group has shown up, and then we've gone back to that location, and it's totally different. Like they're just very hateful because of the way they were treated. So
we had an experience where there was like 10 of us. Maybe there was like 10 or 12 of us all in one room.
Yeah.
And it was, you know, it was kind of, it was the way it was going, but one of the other investigators was being a little more aggressive, and it was kind of like tit for tat. And then as soon as we broke into a smaller group and literally just went around the corner, it was like we went to another universe. It was
really
like finishing each other's sentences type responses, and all the equipment was going off. And so it's like sometimes, you know,
all I have to say is I'm very lucky to not physically experience that more, because I will call you the F out. I will not stand and watch you do that. Like I will literally, because it's just like, I can't. You can tell that those people are Zach Baggins wannabes. Yeah. You know, and there's other people who are just like truly respectful and love the paranormal and want to understand it. But yeah, that just makes me sick to my stomach.
Yeah, well, and because we've asked the owners, like we're like, well, it was really weird because the energy was so different, and we're like, was there anybody here last weekend? And they're like, oh yeah, this team was here last weekend, and we're like, now we know what happened. So like we're able to tell why the energy shift happened and stuff like that. So it's pretty sad that happens, but unfortunately, that does happen. Nikki wants to know: have you ever brought anything home with you, or have had something attach themselves to you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. There's stuff here right now.
Yeah, there's stuff in here.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's we live in a tiny house.
Mm-hmm.
I lived here for 2 years before she came
and messed it all up.
And then it started a little bit, even though we cleansed and this and that. Maybe it's flaw in how we're wording it. Like somebody's like, well, you didn't say people or spirits that don't intend you harm can't come home with you. So maybe that could be getting. But
Right.
just like lately, we sleep in a loft, and she just had a pretty serious surgery last month. 2 weeks later, I broke my collarbone and my scapula. So we were like on this IKEA couch that we're on now. So we hadn't slept upstairs in a while.
Right.
We started sleeping up there, and I noticed that there's a knock above my head on the roof, just like one knock. And it's a sloped roof, so it's like if it was like maybe a bird at 11 at night dropping something, you would hear it like trickle.
Yeah.
And then I noticed it was like within 10 minutes of us shutting the light off and saying, I always say the same thing to her every night. And then I say, I'll see you soon. And then turn the light off. And it's within 10 minutes I'd hear the knock. And but no matter what time we went to bed. And so I was like, okay, whatever. And then I tell her about it. And I said, listen, as soon as I turn the light off, within 10 minutes, she falls asleep in like 30 seconds. But
oh, that's me. Hello, that's me.
As soon as I shut the light off, within 5 or 10 minutes, you're going to hear a knock. And I pointed to where it was. And sure enough, there's one right there. And then there's one above her head. And now it's one right there and then one above her head. That's it. Every night. We've tried to debunk it. It doesn't matter what time it is. It's just within that amount of time of when we lay down. This place isn't exactly settling. It's like
their own way of telling you that they're telling you good night.
Yeah.
We also get footsteps down here, which is weird. And then we also get our pots and pans moving, weird stuff shuffling around. One time they opened up the refrigerator, which was a dick move on their part because it's like, that's a food. But we get everything. But also, too, my office is up in the other den, and I do spiritual work all day long, 24/7. So not that I'm intentionally bringing things in, but we do have a little light now above our tiny house to spirits that say, hey, there's a medium there. Let's go, but they're not bad. And the thing is I'm not scared of them. He's not scared of them. We don't mind. They're like a part of our family. Like it's cool. They can chill as long as they're not causing any problems.
Yeah. Yeah. That's one thing that's big with me is I don't open up in my house intentionally. And it's kind of a catch-22 because I already told you I'm lazy, but I know I need to practice, but I don't want to practice in my house. So I'm just that's kind of my catch-22 there, because I think that if I'm in my house, I can get a lot of stuff to come here when I open up because it's the comfort of my own home.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't want to open up here because I don't want stuff to come into my home. So I'm kind of like, okay, look, and we live right on a lake, so I have the strength of the water right there, and so yeah, there's a lot going on right in this area that I think if I opened up, I would get a lot of action throughout this area. So, yeah, Stuart's asking, and this is towards Zach Bagans, the comment you made. How can you investigate for 20 years and still act scared and yell at everything? Right?
Our problem is that we don't have. Like, I have a pretty deadpan,
Yeah.
Like, she can count on one hand how many times she's seen me laugh out loud. And it's not that I don't think things are funny. It's just for it to get to my face and for me to actually laugh. And, we joke around about, like, we just need to start freaking out. Like, we need to scream at
least a little bit more of something.
Stuff will happen, and then we'll look at each other, and then we'll go towards it smiling.
Yeah.
But we watch other stuff where, like, somebody puts a REM pod out, and then it beeps one time, and they're like, "Whoa, stop! I'm gonna leave." And it's like,
yeah, I told
Nick,
Nikki,
do it the wrong way.
people who have investigated with me. They know. They're like, all right, I'm that person that is too dumb to know any better, so I just go right at it. I want to know what that was.
So. Yeah. Well, the thing is, when you're a medium, you've kind of seen it all. Like, okay, I've seen shadow people, but I've seen them, like really seen them, so it's not really that scary. It's just for me, it's things jumping out at me. I hate it. Spirits love to do that from time to time. Makes me really mad. Don't like it. But no, I mean, just go for it. You're there as a paranormal investigator. What's your problem? Go towards it. Like, why are you running the other way? Yeah, we have we've been with groups, and they've been like, well, that door, that's the door where people say that, you know, this negative entity or there's a portal back there and we shouldn't. And I just open the door. Really? Let's go. And they're like, no, we just told you. And I'm like, what'd you tell me? Why are we
You
here?
basically invited me to go do this by telling me it was there.
Like, then why are we here?
Right. I'm going to sit on the other door and play knock knock with it. Is there anything on the other side? So, yeah. And Rosie's kind of like I am. She says, when I was talking about not wanting to open up the home, she says, me and Tom, I was told I have a spirit that came with the house, but I don't want to poke the bear. They said she was nice. Yeah. They're nice until they're not nice.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, it was so I know that I didn't know that. So Rosie is saying, I heard to put flour on the surface and a coin in the middle and ask if they can grab the coin and see if there are prints or evidence that the coin moved. Yeah,
and you can do it with footsteps as well on the ground.
Yeah, see, I don't play enough with stuff to try to figure that out. So
that's kind of how I learned. I mean, I grew up watching scary movies.
Yeah.
From one of those families, you know. And one of my first experiences was when I was maybe like 9. And where I grew up, it snowed at our house usually like once a year. And I had a motorcycle track. And my buddy and I were walking around, probably shooting pellet guns and stuff. And he asked me when my dad got home. And you remember back in like the 90s when you didn't have to have somebody there all the time. And I was like, it was just him and I there. And he said, when'd your dad get home? And I was like, he's not going to be home until later. And he's like, oh. And we look back and there's a third set of footprints in the snow behind us.
Oh.
And of course, I was like, he's not home.
Yeah.
And then kept playing or whatever. And there's a ton of stuff like that. And then once I started realizing, it was like, am I losing it? Or is this what's happening? And then once I realized that it was really happening, then I started remembering all these things. I was like, dude, that was something.
Right. Yeah, it's like a trigger for you that just kind of brings it all back. Yeah, the only odd one that I had like that outside of just seeing shadow people or talking to spirit or whatever else is I was at a location. It wasn't even when I knew I had anything. But I was at a home with a friend, and we noticed that too. We walked in the house and there was a trail of like footsteps that were water, like because it was wet outside. But then they just stopped, and they didn't go anywhere. Like they just went to the middle of the kitchen and then just stopped. And you're like, what are these? Why did they stop? Where did they go to? So you're just like that. How did that happen? And I never gave any thought to that until like just recently when I kind of noticed that I was dragging stuff into my office, and I was like, footstep. Oh yeah, I had that experience a while ago, and then just never thought of it again until you just said it. So yeah, Rosie's saying, yeah, the 90s, we did that in the 80s. No parents for like 10 to 12 hours. Yeah. Yeah, I'll tell you.
Babysitting myself at like the age of 7 or 8. My mom was like, push that button if you need help.
Yeah, I'll tell you in the 80s, I would go and stay at my friend's house for like 10, 11 days. And my parents would be like, well, just make sure you make it to school and don't die. We'll call it good. Because, well, Luna, I told you I'm the youngest of 13. So by the time I came around, my parents were like, don't die, don't go to prison, and we'll call it good. I'm like, okay, sweet, we're good. We're there. So, because I'm a 70s kid. So yeah, 80s were my stomping grounds to go run around and do everything with all my friends. So that was a lot of fun. I know. And then, if Stuart's still on here, he's going to tell us we're all a bunch of young kids because, he's old as dirt. In fact, I think Stuart named Dirt.
Poor Stuart.
Stuart harasses me a lot, so we give it back and forth. That's the love right there. But what is coming up next for you? What is the next step in the life and times of Luna and Nolan?
New merch drop coming next month-ish, September, October-ish. We have season 3 coming out, which is our spooky season. So we're going to have a lot of collabs and people that you guys are probably going to know on our show. Investigations. I mean, there's a lot of stuff coming up that we can't really talk about, but there's
Sorry. This is to get the scoop.
Have to follow us on social media. You just have to follow us on social media. We do have some really exciting stuff happening in the springtime next year. Like I said, collabs coming up, really spooky things. I'll give you guys our first investigation of season 3, Fort Stevens over here in Oregon, next to Astoria, Oregon. So if you guys want to look that up, that will be our first investigation. We've got
it's where they filmed Kindergarten Cop.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And Goonies.
And the Goonies.
Goonies.
And we've also got the Mason Lodge. We're going to be doing that one too. So you guys can look out for that. My twin sister will be on that one.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's just a lot of stuff. There's a new opener. We just did some pictures and some really cool drone footage of a new opener for our show. So if you guys haven't seen the old opener, go to YouTube and check it out. And then we've already filmed for that. So there's just a lot of new things. My podcast will be launching brand new. So yeah, I mean,
so I may reach out to you just so you're warn you ahead of time. I have actually found out that the site I use here, StreamYard, I can actually pull the audio and turn it into a podcast. I just don't know how to do, like, what to look for to put on a podcast. So I will be reaching out to you to be like, look, I need help with podcast stuff.
I got you. It's really easy. It's really easy. A lot easier than this.
Which is surprising because to me, this is, oh my God, easy.
Well, there you go. You're going to get that.
Basic. So again, right there, everybody, see that down here? See all this? www.lunaparanormal.com right here. All this, see this big fat fingers pointing at all this? Go out there. If you find this site, you will find all of their other sites. It will link you to absolutely everything you want to know, everything you didn't want to know, everything you wanted to learn, everything you didn't want to learn.
Yep.
And what you're supposed to do with this is go out there and then link to all the other sites and then go like, follow, and share all of the other sites.
Go watch our YouTube. Go watch our YouTube.
Go watch the YouTube. Yes, go watch the YouTube. I have watched the YouTube. So what's the name of the YouTube again?
Finding Unknown. Not Finding Unknown, just Finding Unknown.
Finding Unknown. Correct.
Right to YouTube, it'll come up.
People on there look just like us.
Just like us.
Just like you?
It's uncanny.
So it's your doppelgangers? Is that what you're saying?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, see, Nikki already said that. Done that on YouTube. So, I think we're kind of at a good place to wrap. You guys have anything else of words of wisdom you want to share with us? Don't eat yellow snow.
Wear a helmet.
And just so you know, I'm in Nebraska, but I'm not from here. I'm actually more towards your area. I'm actually from Napa, California.
Nice.
Oh, heck yeah.
I'm actually from the West Coast, so that's my normal stomping grounds.
So you know what oceans are.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's our thing. We always talk about, like, what if we moved? My job is a little unique. I wouldn't just be able to go do it anywhere. But we always thought, like, what if we moved here? What if we moved there? And it's like landlocked.
Right. That's that's my biggest thing. This was our compromise right now, was to move onto a lake. So that happened a year ago because I got tired of not being around water, and she's like, yes, we can go to a lake. So we moved to the lake, but I really, really, really miss the ocean. We already know that this is a very nice home, but it's not our forever home, and our forever home will be somewhere around an ocean.
Yep.
So yes, if I could afford my own island and have connectivity on it and live on my own little island in the middle of the ocean, that's where I would be at.
Yeah.
So yes.
That's so cool. Love that.
Yes.
I mean, thanks for having us on. If there's one thing I could say to everybody, if there's something you've always wanted to do, something you're passionate about and that you love, just go do it. Just don't stop until you get there. That's my advice up there.
Yeah, I would say. So Rose is saying, thank you for another Great show. Stay safe. Have a safe week. If you two don't mind, don't run away. I'm going to shut down the show, and I'll be right back with you on the backstage. But I know you have dinner as well, so if you want to go grab your food when I come back.
It's not even done.
We'll be in the green room.
Yeah, we'll be in the green room.
You'll be in the green room. Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you, Uilana Kulile. She says thank you all for everything.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
So I am not here next week. You'll hear me when I announce it to the whole audience, but I'll let you guys go to the back and I'll come talk to you in a second. But thank you again for coming on.
Honor. Thank you.
Definitely loved having you on. It was fantastic. And so that means that now that we know that there's stuff coming down the road, I'm going to have to bring you back on in a few months so we can get the update on everything that goes on and we can talk about it again and talk about what's going to come on again after that. So,
and from both of us, I can speak for her because she's usually in my head. This is a great podcast and you're really, really good at what you do.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
A lot of people I think are like, you just get people and you talk to them. But then if you suck at talking to people, then, so, but like we've maybe been around some stuff where it was just like, holy crap, like it felt like it was 4 hours long, but it was only 25 minutes, just to be like people reading off of what are you afraid of? And
what would you do? Yeah. Yeah, and that's what it seems to be with my guests is I tell them, like, you and I have been talking for about an hour and 20 minutes. And it feels like we've been talking for 20.
Yeah.
So it goes by really fast. That's what I really like about my guests is they're always fantastic guests. So and my audience is fantastic. So so Stuart is saying, sorry, Stuart, he said it was a good show until I turned ugly on him when I called him old. But
poor Stuart.
It comes with the territory. So, but yes, I will be with you in a second. Thank you for coming on, and we will talk here in a couple of minutes.
Bye.
All right, everyone, that is the show. Thank you again for coming on. As everyone knows, you are my family. Thank you. I cannot do this without you. Again, here's all my wonderful information. Facebook.com, Stuff I Never Learned from a Schoolbook. I am on Twitch. Twitch.tv, Stuff I Never Learned, and on YouTube at Stuff I Never Learned. You can go out there and find me. If you want to email me, it is stuffineverlearned@gmail.com. So feel free to send me messages, whatever else. If you are not watching live and you want to ask questions, send me an email and I will ask the audience questions. I will do the members' questions, whatever else. The guests, you have questions, ask. I'll ask whoever it is questions. I don't mind doing that since you're not here live. Take advantage of it. I offer it. It's always good. See you later, Melody. Next week, I am not here. Monday, I will not have a show because I will have the terribly rough job of being out there visiting Melody Chang and Joe Pinohu out in Oahu for work. So I'll have to suffer out in Hawaii for a week. I know someone's got to do it. It's really rough. But holy crap, people. When Rosie, I can't make any promises. Be good, stay out of jail. I normally tell people just don't get caught. That's kind of how it works. So next week I'm not here, but holy crap, let's run down a little bit of a lineup, shall we? Because we got a whole crap ton of stuff coming down the pipes. So when I come back on the 14th, we have Joe Vitale. And then on that following Thursday, we have one of my friends named Anne-Marie. And then we have Carly Kane. And then we have Kyle Magnus. And we will have Aaron Bush all in October. So we will have a bunch of people coming in October. They're basically like Monday, Thursday, Monday, Thursday, Monday, Thursday. So get ready for that push. I will be nice enough to send out advertisements like I always do so you all can pay attention to what's going on and not get lost like I am trying not to. But other than that, as always, stay safe. I love you all very much. Like, follow, share, and we will see you in a couple of weeks. Stay safe. See y'all later.